What's up, everyone?
Happy Saturday.
Yes, happy Saturday.
And DP's got some Kool-Aid soda beverages for us on a beautiful Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have to try this out. A little Kool-Aid soda. Let's see how it is.
DP, what is this? I didn't know it was a thing either. All right, well, happy Saturday, Tristan. We can try this out live on air here.
Yeah.
Some Kool-Aid. I don't know.
I'm a fan. This is solid. A little orange drink. I feel like it tastes
like Kool-Aid.
It tastes exactly like how you would expect orange Kool-Aid to taste like. Harrison, Teagat weekends and a beautiful day here in Lincoln. Crazy weather this morning, but how's your day been so far?
It's been a hectic morning. I won't lie to anybody. What a morning. Obviously, just anybody who lived in Lincoln, you guys can join in 402-464-5685. You guys can even send in pictures. That's always one of my favorite things seeing. Hopefully no one's property's damaged too much. You don't like seeing that stuff, but call it morbid curiosity, if you will. Seeing those severe storms. I think it might have been last year we had something similar where it was like you get like hurricane winds and just a random storm. Last night I woke up about 5:30 because my phone was freaking out and it was telling me severe thunderstorm warning. Watch out for 80-mile-an-hour winds in the middle of the night. And then I was just having a hard time sleeping. I was looking out the window and man, there was a huge tree branch just overhanging someone's car, and I really, really hope that tree branch got moved before it fell down, because I thought about saying something or trying to figure out who it was, and I just texted the office. I was like, I'm sure you guys are aware, but you guys have a lot of big branches just waiting to fall on cars, but crazy. Luckily, none of my stuff got damaged. Tristan, how about yourself?
No damage at all, but it was a little worrisome just because I was like laying in bed, sleeping, obviously, and then 5 o'clock hits in the morning, and I just hear sirens. I hear some crazy winds outside. I was like, oh, like, why are the tornado sirens going off? And my first thought was like, oh, this is just a drill. Like, you know, it's
at 5:30 in the morning.
At 5:30 in the morning, I was like, all right, Tristan, that does not make any sense whatsoever. Why would we have a tornado drill right now?
If you're half asleep, it might make sense.
Exactly, yeah. And then I was like, oh gosh, this is real. And I like, they turned off for a second. I was like, all right, we're going back to sleep. And then they turned on again, and we're even louder. And I was like, oh, I should probably go to my basement. Like, and part of me was like, meh. If I get swept away by a tornado, at least I'm asleep. Like, I'll be fine. But then I was like, all right, let's do the smart play and go downstairs. But it was crazy. And then I get outside this morning and just tree branches all over the place. And I'm like, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I had to move a couple of things out of my way just to back up this morning. It was 2 huge pallets got blown somehow, like behind my. I don't know if it hit my Jeep. I probably should take a closer look when I head back to it, see if there's any dents in it. But had to move some pallets out of the way. There was a tree branch. Wasn't like massive, but big enough where I didn't want to just run it over. Had to move that out, like get out of my apartment's driveway this morning. Just crazy. Like I said, if you guys want to send in pictures, go for it. Did you get any hail or anything over there?
No hail. I don't believe we had any hail. It was just crazy winds. And I checked my phone, get an alert, and it was like 80-mile-an-hour winds in Douglas County, and it was just unbelievable. Yeah, and it was just brutal. It was a brutal way to start your Saturday when there's sirens going off at 5:30.
I didn't realize you guys were getting tornado sirens.
Yeah, I was so confused, and it was tough because I really thought it was a drill, and I was like, who is doing this to me? I am trying to sleep, and I was like, all right, this is probably real. So pretty crazy, but yeah, it was a good time. So happy to be here on this Saturday.
Yeah, I'm happy we both made it in, and like nothing, our cars didn't, have a tree branch or I think last year there was entire trees, like rooted trees in the ground that completely got blown over. And one of them, I remember I was driving past it. It was on my way home from work. And of course, all the lights were out because it took out the power as well. But my headlights, I was driving past the car and a full tree just fell on top of it. And I felt horrible for whoever that was, because I don't know if your insurance is going to cover that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they will, but maybe not all the way. Just bizarre. So that's twice in a year now where I have seen like just hurricane winds in the Midwest. I don't ever remember having storms like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember severe storms and like tornado warnings, but the hurricane windstorms 2 years in a row have been a little bit bizarre. And I know we're not the weathermen, just a little bit of idle chit chat to get us going this morning, because that was definitely the first thing that we noticed this morning was that it was absolute madness outside. But Tristan, we got the Husker volleyball scrimmage today, 2:30, red versus white, on top of Husker football, NFL preseason. Where do you want to start?
There's a lot to start, but real quick, we just got a text from Ham and Beans in the text line. Lost the whole top of my willow tree. Luckily, the wind was blowing it away from my fence.
Ooh.
Tough way to start your morning. Yeah, it said it was fun to watch it hit at 4:15 in the morning. So that's a tough way to start your Saturday.
Yeah, I wonder how when people woke up to it, because I kind of woke up in the middle of it, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little anxious because I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't aware that there was gonna be
Yeah,
that severe of a storm overnight, so I was sweating it a little bit because I didn't do my homework, and I was like, I probably should figure out where my apartment's tornado shelter is, but I never heard any sirens, so I just kind of nodded back off to sleep. But
yeah.
that's a tough one with the willow tree.
Yeah, hopefully everyone can, get everything cleaned up safely, and no issues there. But yeah, where to start? Husker volleyball scrimmage today. Is it Colorado State? Is it that the or no, that was soccer. Soccer just played women's soccer and
It's just
Nebraska
red
just
versus
had,
white. Yeah.
yeah. Women's soccer just played Colorado State yesterday in just an exhibition match, and it looked like it went pretty well for the Skurs. I think they won that one. But yeah, this red and white scrimmage. What do we expect from the Huskers right now? I think we want to see the same standard. It's almost national championship or bust. It's tough when that's kind of the standard. But with the new head coach and everything and a few different changes, what do you want to see out of the scrimmage?
I want to see really, I just want to see if there's anything noticeably different in how they play. Are they still kind of playing that old school John Cook defensive? We really live and die through the libero. I shouldn't say that, but the libero served a major role on John Cook's roles. And like, I can't give you the X's and O's of all the plays you run, but you can just look at it and how defensive minded they were. And when you have a generational talent like Lexi Rodriguez at that libero position, it really makes a difference. Busboom Kelly over at Louisville seems to be a lot more aggressive. So for me, it's just tempo. How does this team play? Are they more playing the defensive long game, or are they going out to attack? Like we saw Texas do to us, unfortunately, in that national championship. Like that was a very aggressive Texas team. I don't think Louisville is like ever that aggressive. Texas also had O'Neal at the time, so that you can really allow yourself to be aggressive. That's going to be the biggest thing for me. And then, of course, just see the new faces. We got some to return back. Blanket on the Italian girl. I think she's like 6'5". She's supposed to be an absolute stud outside hitter. I'm just very excited to see the new faces, but most importantly, the tempo. Does anything noticeably different, or does this look like John Cook's team? Because again, Busboom Kelly, she played under John Cook, so it's not like she's super foreign to the idea of it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely knows the culture. And I think Coach Kelly, it'll be kind of cool to see, we've had John Cook for so long, and obviously he's remarkable. He's a legendary coach. But it'll be kind of cool to see if there are any differences with a new head coach in this Nebraska system. And I am curious if it does get a little bit more aggressive, because I think for quite a while it was almost just like Nebraska's defense is going to be stellar. Mm-hmm. They're going to force you to make some extraordinary plays. Otherwise, they're just going to keep playing. We're going to have a few long rallies, but by the end of it, you're going to be worn out, and we're going to have one of our outsides or middles just get us a point like that. So I'm curious if it does turn into a more aggressive style of offense, which honestly, I'll be honest, is I think it's a little bit more fun to watch when it's just like anytime the ball gets to Nebraska's side, it's just, oh gosh, who's laying down the hammer now?
See, I'm a little old school because you play a little bit defensive. That's where you get to those ridiculous rallies.
Yeah.
Because
when both teams are kind of like that.
Yeah. Because it's like both teams are just waiting. Take this with a grain of salt. Like, obviously they're trying to score, but like, they're really waiting for you to make the first mistake. Like, we're going to be on top of our game. We're obviously going to throw you some, give you some good shots at you, but we're more focused on defense. So it's really who's going to make the first error here. And that's, a lot of those years, John Cook games, like you just watch ridiculous rallies. And then especially when it's, teams like Wisconsin last year, who is loaded, and you just see Nebraska just sticking in there. And those are kind of momentum shifters. So that part's exciting. But, if you're absolutely on fire and you're just dominating a team, that can be exciting too. Like, because then I hate to keep using Texas, but the way Texas looked against us in the national championship, if you're a Texas fan, that would be exhilarating. Who cares about the rally? Like, you are just lighting these guys up, and they can't catch the rhythm because you're just so aggressive. So I can go either or on that. I'm willing to bet though it's going to be faster. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive based on what you did at Louisville.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are your thoughts in almost just any sport in general? Do you think better offense wins, kind of like what that Texas team did, or consistently better defense wins? Because I think with Nebraska, they just, like you said, built so much momentum because they just almost built whoever they played down because they have some good sets. They have some good things going for them, but then Nebraska's defense just stopped it right in the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nebraska goes and gets to that point where like, we did everything right, and this team still is not letting us get anything. So what do you think is, more consistently successful? Better offense, better defense, and sports in general?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably like defense. I really, now you always need some offense, but like, even if you take it to boxing, that's probably the best example I can give it, or UFC, whatever. I think, but in a boxing match, if you're just a power hitter, that's what you're known for, and you get what feels like a perfect, clean connection, but you just got an excellent defender, and that boxer gets his glove up right in time, and it's like, well, that was my best shot. And this guy, he's standing, knees are not even shaking underneath him. I don't know what to throw next. His defense is too good, and then it just kind of gets in your head. NBA, you see it in the playoffs. Who are the teams that make it to the conference finals? Usually, at the very least, top 10 defense.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you'll see 3 of the top 5 defensive teams out there. I think the Thunder were the number 1 defense last year.
Yeah.
And the Pacers were the number 1 offense.
Yeah.
Who won? The defense.
Yeah.
So
little speculation, though, with Tyrese Halliburton, but still, no, I know exactly what you're saying. And like you think of, with Lou Dort, just a great defensive talent that can almost just not always just lock up the other team's best player, but do a pretty solid job guarding him. And then the previous year when we see the Celtics win, same thing, we see Drew Holiday, who's a guy who just stellar defensively and almost just shuts down your best player and makes you have to change your whole form of offense. So I think that's why I would go with we're talking a lot of different sports here, but for a lot of sports, I think if you just have a stellar defense, it's tough for any great offense to really get going.
Unless MLB and you're playing, say, the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know what defense you can do to defeat that. Baseball is one of those ones where you just, because of the way that game's played, you need some power hitters because you're just never going to catch up teams like the Dodgers with their payroll and like the amount of elite hitters. Baseball is the one that really sticks out there because it really just comes down to errors.
Yeah.
And like not so much. And there's some scheming, don't get me wrong, but more individualized in terms of those errors, like really impacting a game. One error can lead to 3 runs. So that's probably the most niche one, but I've always been a more defensive minded guy. Like even with Nebraska basketball, that's kind of been the only thing that's kept us alive at times where, we'd have 7-minute droughts and then we go into halftime down 2 points. It's like, how are we down by 2? That was atrocious. It's hard for us to watch, but it was also hard for Minnesota or whoever to watch because they couldn't do anything.
No one's
offense.
scoring.
Yeah, no one's scoring. Now the problem is eventually they figured it out and we wouldn't until we got to the college basketball crown. It finally all clicked. But yeah, I think, defense to me is always, you got to build that foundation because if you got that defense down, then it allows you, I think, to feel a little more loose on offense, as opposed to if you're not very good on defense, like the Phoenix Suns and why their whole thing blew up with Kevin Durant, Beal, Devin Booker. You can put the ball in the hoop as many times as you want, but if you're not going to play it like a defense, like, do you really want to have to average like 130 plus points a game to win? That's a lot of effort, and that's asking for 0 bad shooting nights. And that didn't happen for them. They ended up losing more often than not, and it blew up in a big fire. So you can have offense. The biggest part for me is I think defense comes first. You can argue about maybe offense comes first, but there's got to be a certain amount of emphasis on defense. Otherwise, the whole thing's just going to be a disaster, as it proves more often than not.
Yeah. Another team that I really loved watching, which is kind of just out of the blue, I don't know how I just thought about this, but that Baylor basketball team a few years ago when they beat Gonzaga, I believe, in the national championship, and their defense was just unbelievable.
Picking them up full court all game.
Exactly. Picking them up full court. Who's their head coach? Is it Scott Drew?
It might have been.
Is that the right name?
What year was that?
Oh, gosh. Jalen Suggs was on Gonzaga that year. I remember that. So
it's like 2019?
Maybe 2019, maybe 20.
I can't remember if I was even in high school or if I was out of high school.
Yeah. I think it was maybe 2019, 2020. But that team, just a no middle defense. But they didn't have, the greatest scorers. I'm trying to think of different guys that I remember from that team that were just impeccable scorers. And you didn't see it, but their defense was just unbelievable. And Gonzaga had some pretty solid stars, like Jalen Suggs and a few others. And when you see those guys just getting shut down and dominated, it's like, all right, well, I don't care how good your offense is if this defense is just lights out.
Yeah, it just can't, can't catch a rhythm. That's why I threw boxing out as like the first example, because it's just, it's if you can't catch your rhythm, it just feels awful. And same thing for football, and that's where Nebraska football had some success. Teams that really like to run the ball, and then like a Rutgers and Manungai. This guy's incredible. This guy's incredible. Caught the rhythm in that first drive, and we were, I think, all scared a little bit of how good that he was going to be, because I think he had like 60 plus yards on the first drive, and then like pretty much nothing after. But once we shut him down, rhythm was gone. Like Rutgers no longer had any rhythm whatsoever. First down, like they would try to run and they would get stuffed. And now it's like, okay, it's second and long here. We don't feel great about our quarterback, and the rhythm's just shot. And if you just don't have that rhythm, then good luck. You're just not going to win a whole lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love how we're just kind of jumping from sport to sport, hierarchy to hierarchy in college and professional. But another thing that just sticks out to me is you could have some of the greatest players on your team offensively, and you could still not win ball games. I'm thinking of the Bengals last year. I'm a solid Joe Burrow fan. I really appreciate what he did last year. And him and Jamar Chase would just go, ballistic. Every single game, it seemed like. It was like, oh, Joe Burrow threw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards, and they lost because their defense couldn't keep up. So no matter how hard, your offense plays and how talented you are, if you don't have a defense, it really makes it hard to, one, win football games or just any sport in general, but then also win national championships.
Yeah, because, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, the defense was, and again, I'll tip my cap to the Chiefs a little bit. Certainly some of your weaker teams that you've brought to the Super Bowl, but the defense was just smothering. The Tampa Bay one was a pretty good Chiefs team and just a dominant Tampa Bay team. But that just tells you, if you have that defense locked in, you can just really overcome a lot. Now, they also had Tom Brady as a quarterback, so their offense was pretty good, but the defense certainly just like made it a no question, gave them no hope whatsoever. And if you got that defense and then your offense has a good day on top of it, like, no one's going to beat you, or very, very rarely will you get beat.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pick out a team that just has an extraordinary offense and a bad defense that's won anything, really.
Is there any that you can think? I'm trying to figure out if there's ever been just a, absolute fire offensively.
Yeah.
Managed to actually win and be successful. I can't think of any.
No, I can't think. I'm trying to think of a whole bunch of different sports, and even then, I'm not thinking. I mean, I feel like in the NFL, especially, you have to have a top 10 defense at least to win a Super Bowl. Curious when the last team was that hadn't been in the top 10 defensively. College football, maybe a little bit more in college football. We see some explosive offenses. We could say that, that 2019 LSU team, very similar to the Bengals, but I mean, their defense still solid, but it seemed like they had a few higher scoring games, like allowing points, but that offense, who's going to stop them with Jay Jettas, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Like, that's just an offense no one's going to stop. So it doesn't, in that case, maybe it's like our offense is so good, our defense can let up 30 points. We'll still beat you.
But if the Big 12 team wins the college football championship, we can say it's happened.
Yes.
Because really, out of any of the Big 12 teams, outside of a few, like most of them are just, we're going to beat you offensively. Like Colorado, it was never a defensive minded game for them. BYU, it's, again, like when I say this, take it with a grain of salt. Like, obviously they are coaching defense, but the priority is like we're running the team through our offense, where when you look at Nebraska football, rules set it, and maybe it does change this year, but we've been a defensive led team, and that wasn't a secret, it wasn't a mystery, it was said by the head coach himself. And you put that emphasis there because that's the best unit of your team, and I don't think they'll change too much off of that, just being more defensively led. But I can't think of one. If we get a BYU winner, or not a BYU, a Big 12 winner, maybe we can actually name one. Like a more elite offense, terrible defense, but they found a way to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. And I think, the main point from this is defense wins championships. If you really want to be great and consistent, you need a solid defense. So, we'll meet you guys back on the other side. Might talk a little bit about preseason football. Had a few games already. That's been fun to watch. Maybe a little college football. So we'll be right back.
When you're outdoors beneath Nebraska skies, adventure comes in all sizes. From quick escapes and long weekends to true off-the-grid retreats. Paddle, hike, camp, explore. Whether you have a few hours or a few days, we'll guide you to a state park or recreation area that's a perfect fit. Start your next adventure today at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Looking for a fun way to give back? Join us for the 2025 Kicks for Kids Nebraska Fun Run Walk, presented by Pinnacle Bank, on Saturday, August 23rd at James Arthur Vineyard. Enjoy a scenic 5K through beautiful grounds. Every step helps provide shoes to kids in Lincoln and Lancaster County schools, with options for adults, wine included, and kids. Registration fees include a t-shirt, medal, and bag. Sign up today and make a difference at kicksforkidsnebraska.org.
A business's phone is the lifeline to its customers and potential clients. That's why it's so important that you can take calls seamlessly from anywhere, whether you're on the road or in the office. Hamilton Business Technologies can help ensure your phone rings wherever you are. We can equip your headquarters and any of its locations with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we know how to keep Nebraska businesses connected. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Hi, I'm Casey Oddie, and I'm the Retail Banking Manager at your local Midwest Bank branch on 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Banking may be my job, but supporting the community is what I care most about. Whether I'm showing up at local events, partnering with schools, or helping people reach financial milestones, I am proud to be a part of what makes Lincoln strong. Let's build something together. Stop by and say hi. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Rick Heyman here from Starter Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. Visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at starterheyman.com.
Starter Heyman Jewelers.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here Ticket Weekend's going to talk a little bit about preseason NFL football. We saw some good football last night out of Shadur Sanders, but then also, which we will get to. But to start, let's talk a little Anthony Richardson. Went down with a finger injury, hand injury, I believe.
Finger.
And he's a guy that I feel like there's been a lot of speculation on. Like, is he a guy that can lead an NFL team to success? But then also this offseason, I feel like you heard quite a few good things about him and what he's been doing in this organization. So I'll read you his stats real quick from yesterday before the injury. 2 for 3 passing, 66.7%, completion rate, obviously. And then 21 passing yards, and that was it.
Yep. Second drive in the game, he got laid out.
Yeah, exactly.
You played quarterback in high school, right?
I did, yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me ask you. I think they brought 4. Yeah, I'm pretty positive they brought 4, and the running back took off. It was either a slot or tight end. I think it might have been a tight end. If you have pressure, I think they were blitzing off that side. Are you throwing hot towards the blitz? Is that where you're looking at first?
Yeah,
where the pressure's coming from?
You're looking at that side because you know that, all right, the flat's probably a little bit open.
Mhm.
Because that's the guy that's coming that they're bringing is probably the guy that would have been in charge of the flat.
And the running back took off.
And the running
right
back
away.
took off, pretty much went right by him. So in that situation, that's when you just say, like, all right, I'm just going to either, if you're not completing it, even just throw it at his feet, like just get it out of there. Because he was untouched pretty much, and just
clean through. Like I said, everyone just left him.
Yeah.
So the tight end went up in the middle. Like, I can't remember what I think he was just running a seam straight up the middle, or maybe he did a little hook and sat. But and then, like I said, that running back just straight out ran into the flat. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what the play call was, but the entire time, what I did notice was Richardson was never even looking towards that side of the ball where the pressure was coming from. So I don't know if that's a pre-snap read where he's got to identify that, or if that's maybe it was supposed to be a chip block before you go off and take off from the tight end, or maybe the running back was supposed to be in protection. I really doubt it was the running back for how quick he got out of there. And it looked like that flat was designed, and especially where the pressure was coming from, it looked like that was the perfect thing to do there. And I can't figure out who was at fault there. I'd be curious, who do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I feel like you got to take a lot of the blame as a quarterback, because that's it. You're the one that's running the offense.
That's true. Yeah.
I think like you said, it's a pre-snap read where you're looking to see, all right, where could pressure come from? Because, maybe he is just bluffing. Maybe he's just showing, and then he's going to back out into the flat. But I think you got to let your running back know, like, hey, stay, make sure that he's, not coming at me untouched.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that running back sees it, then he can go out into the flat. And if that is the case also as a pre-snap read, you just got to think, like, all right, I have my running back here. He's going out into the flat where that edge rusher, that end, if he comes, he's coming untouched, but that leaves that running back open that I can just dump it to real quick, or just try to throw it at his feet if it's like no shot of making a play.
And hindsight 2020, like that was the read. Like obviously, because like he was wide open. He took off right away, and they went all in. But yeah, Anthony Richardson just like never even saw it, never looked over there once, and then takes it wasn't even like the side. I think that's how he broke his finger, because it was like it wasn't a blindside block, but he was kind of like facing sideways, but his head was just turned completely the opposite way.
And then he just gets smoked.
Yeah, and I think his pad like ended up getting wrapped in his finger, and then we'll see. I don't think it's going to be too brutal, but it is his throwing hand, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's just unfortunate. The Colts are sitting there like Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Everyone's fighting about it. Well, you got your answer now. It's not the way you'd want to get your answer, but super unfortunate for the Colts. And now you're just hoping for Daniel Jones to light it up, and you have a decent offensive line. And you got Jonathan Taylor back there. You can have a chance for a decent year, not a great year, if you can really just play because I think their defense should be all right as well. I think play a very patient Daniel Jones-esque style.
Yeah.
Because now you got, your new Saquon. You got Jonathan Taylor, who's not anywhere near, but a solid running back who, if he stays healthy, I think they can be decent and not necessarily the toughest division. I'm just not super high on them, though. That's a huge blow. Like, even though you weren't maybe that high on Anthony Richardson, it's like, how many times can you roll bad dice?
Yeah. I'm on the same page as you, but like you said, I think if they play a little bit of just conservative football, I think even if Anthony Richardson was, going to be able to start at week 1, I think you have to play a little conservatively, not put these quarterbacks in too many situations for them to have to make a extraordinary play. I think their goal is just to play good enough football to win games. We don't need to be an explosive offense by any means. We just need to not be turning the ball over, especially when you're in a division like the AFC South, where we saw last year the Titans obviously really struggling. Rookie quarterback now. Don't expect them to be a huge test. Same with the Texans. CJ Stroud, a little bit of a down year, along with the Texans' offensive line. And then the Jaguars, who we haven't really seen much success out of anytime lately. So you're in a division where if you just, play conservative football, win those football games, you can still make the playoffs
Yeah,
without
I think
having
people are a little
crazy
bit down
quarterback.
on the Texans right now too.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really do a whole lot this offseason.
No. And
you can argue they got worse.
So you could argue they got worse. They lost a few offensive linemen. Who's the offensive lineman for them? He had the whole draft scandal.
Draft scandal.
A few years ago when he had the gas mask on.
Oh my Lord!
What's his name? Because he was an all pro for a little bit, but he's gone now.
We all know
Larry Tunsil.
Thank you,
Larry Tunsil. There we go. Yes.
Shout out Larry Tunsil.
Yeah. So he had a pretty solid few years, but I think they released him after he had a pretty poor last season. So, but their offensive line didn't get much better, and that's tough for a CJ Stroud who had an unbelievable rookie season and then a pretty tough, almost sophomore slump, you could say, but he didn't have much help.
Defensive coordinators catch on a little bit.
Exactly.
And if you don't have great help, it's tough to make. I mean, it's what happened with any quarterback in the league. It's what probably makes them so hard to judge is you give a quarterback nothing, you're gonna get nothing. You give a quarterback some great players, you still might get nothing, but it's the only way to figure out if they can do it.
Yeah.
It's like you need to pay a little bit of money to test if your quarterback's actually got the skill. And you can see some of that in practice, of course, but nothing it quite checks it out like the live fire. And you see that all the time for quarterbacks who just don't have any weapons, and then they get bumped, traded, and they land somewhere else with a few more weapons, and all of a sudden they're lights out. And it's how'd we miss on this guy? Well, you had a bunch of 3 wide receivers playing wide receiver 1. It was never going to work.
Yeah. Great transition there into a guy like Baker Mayfield, because we're going to touch on the Browns a little bit. But I mean, I just asked you off air, when's the last time a Browns young quarterback had any type of success? Baker Mayfield's the answer, and they just shove him out. They get rid of him. They don't think he's good enough for them for some reason. Like they've had.
Well, the thing is they were looking for a quarterback who could win them a playoff game, and there was a chance that this guy named Deshaun Watson could do that. I have no idea, and I know it's like a stupid joke, but that's how stupid the entire move was. And I told you off air, I like rooting for the underdogs. No more for the Browns. You don't deserve it. Like you do this to yourself, so I can't feel bad for you.
Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, I love how you said you root for the underdogs, but it gets to a point where it's like it's almost just like dumb. Like it's just like irrational decision after irrational decision, and then you see Baker Mayfield, a guy that didn't have probably great weapons, but
injured that year too.
Yeah,
he has 1 year where he's playing hurt, and you get rid of him.
Yeah. And he's the guy that's brought you more wins in one season than pretty much 5 years previously. And they just shove him out the door, say you're not good enough. We see him go to Tampa Bay with some great weapons in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and he's just lights out.
I also wonder, what does leadership not matter anymore?
Yeah.
Because you get a guy like Baker Mayfield, you can't tell me that guy's not a leader. Whether you like his leadership or not is another argument, but I bet you if you're playing on his team, you'd love his leadership. At Oklahoma, it was the same thing. And that's not something that you want to decide. We're drafting this guy just because he's a great leader. But he's over at the Browns, a place that has no heart whatsoever, that really the culture's been dead. He revives it, and everyone seems to really like him over there. And then you bring in a guy who I hope you didn't know as much as we all found out with Deshaun Watson, but that's the personality you want in instead of a guy who gritted it out and finally did something good for your city. Not your city, Cleveland Cavaliers have done things that the Browns haven't done ever, but it just makes no sense. Like sometimes I don't know how these things happen when you get to those war rooms. Like who's the one is it the owner and everyone was just too scared to say this is the terrible idea? But yeah, that's why I just, sorry to the Browns, but you did have Shedeur Sanders, as we continue talking about the Browns, who was not bad at all yesterday.
Yeah, not bad whatsoever. Let's go over his stats. 14 for 23 for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns.
0 picks as well.
Did he run?
at all. I think he had a decent amount. It wasn't maybe crazy, but he also moved a little bit on the ground, I want to say.
I don't think he had too many, and I think he did take a few sacks in there that didn't help him a whole bunch. But
as a rookie, you
as
usually
a rookie,
can anticipate holding on to the ball a little too long early.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, what are your thoughts? Just one on Shedeur Sanders, but then also on preseason games. I know when Kenny Pickett came into the league, who's also on the Browns now, when he came into the league, he had a pretty solid preseason. I think everyone was like, oh, the Steelers are set. Like, they got their guy. He's going to be extraordinary for him. I don't think you downplay what Shedeur did yesterday. Like, it's impressive. He had a solid game. But how do you draw the line between, like, all right, solid game out of Shedeur, but then also it's preseason?
I guess I kind of just draw the line of, like, if you play bad, I know. If you play, good, I still don't know. Like, the only thing I can really figure out is if you're bad.
Yeah.
I can't figure out if you're going to be a lead or not, because, like, preseason, if I'm a Browns fan, I'm fired up, because I was fired up watching Caleb Williams in his preseason games, and he was electric. And you're seeing all these crazy throws. And then you flash forward to the start of the regular season, not as smooth. Really ugly games at times. Even that Titans game early, the infamous Will Levis, with his hands on his head as the guys running by him with the pick six.
Just the mighty surrender, yeah.
Yeah, the surrender cobra. That's one of the worst photos you could possibly get. That one in Isengu getting posterized in the NBA Summer League. Shout out my Chicago Bulls. But yeah, no, I just figure you can kind of see, like, who's not really cut out for it yet, and then you can identify
who's got a shot.
That's a better way to. Who's got a shot? Because again, it's never going to totally flesh out in preseason, and you're going to see pretty basic defenses, pretty basic. Like, no coordinator is going to give you a real look into their more complex schemes. Yeah. It's going to be the vanilla stuff that you've seen before, and they, maybe the most you'll see is like some defensive linemen. They'll do some twist. I think that's how Ty Robinson got his first NFL sack. They had a little nice twist action, and he got. Were the Eagles playing yesterday? Bengals?
Yes.
Yeah, and then so shout out Ty Robinson over, speaking of NFL preseason. But yeah, you can't just figure out these guys got a shot, and you definitely can figure out these guys are definitely a long ways away. Not that it's completely over, but you're not touching the field anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Is you can tell if a guy's not ready for it or he's got a chance. He's shown little glimpses, but we're gonna have to see when the real regular season gets going. So staying with the Browns, what are their goals for the season? What are their expectations? Because you're playing in a tough division with the Bengals, Lamar Jackson Ravens, and an Aaron Rodgers-led Steelers, which we'll see how they are. But with the Browns, it's Joe Flacco seems like he's your guy that's starting. You're probably not expecting to, win the division by any means. It seems like it's kind of a rebuilding year, but also you're starting a quarterback that's been in the league for years. So what's the expectations for the Browns?
Find a quarterback. Your quarterback. Pick your guy already. Just to get better. I think this is a season for the GM. Like, this is a hard look at everybody who we have on our team. We need to figure out this quarterback situation that we put ourselves in. So I don't necessarily have a ton of hope that they get all this sorted out, but yeah, figure out who your quarterback is, because you got a bunch of young quarterbacks that are going to demand a lot of money. You're going to have to trade them out. Having Dylan and Shedeur back to back is still one of the dumbest things. And then you're going to give the start to Shedeur and not Dylan Gabriel, who you drafted before him.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett as well. And Deshaun Watson, who's not a part of it anymore. And then, of course, Joe Flacco. So that's a nightmare right there. That has to be priority one, is figure out what is this order going to look like. Do we really want Joe Flacco starting if the goal is not even to win any games? If we're going to use the year to get better, it's not tanking, but you know what? Let's go put in our more inexperienced quarterbacks. And if we end up losing, it's actually kind of a good thing, because we want to get the pick. And then we can go ahead and draft Arch Manning.
Exactly. Yeah, let's add another quarterback to the mix. But no, I do agree with that. Maybe give these young guys a shot. Like, I don't want to say this, season is just a wash and just a waste. But like, what do you gain from having Joe Flacco, who's probably not going to lead you to even the playoffs? And instead of playing, even giving Shedeur a chance, or maybe you give Dylan Gabriel a chance, or Kenny Pickett, and maybe see like, all right, one of these guys fit. our culture, what we're looking for. And then, like you said, you might not win games, you get a better pick. But then also these guys gain a little bit of experience. So we'll talk a little bit more preseason about the schedule today, what we expect out of a few teams, guys we're excited to see when we come back after this break.
Ah, the sounds of back to school time. There's plenty to about this time of year. So let Cane's take something off your plate by putting something on it. Like the most craveable hand-battered cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. It's going to be a great school year.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Gravel plants near Ashland. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Available positions include plant operators, dredge operators, and shop service technicians. They offer great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, paid holidays, and paid time off. No matter your experience level, on-the-job training is available to help you build a rewarding career with Western Sand and Gravel. Start your career today. Visit westernsand.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake. Nebraska football opens their season on Thursday, August 28th in Kansas City, and you can be a part of the best pregame tailgate party with Blur Events, live from Kauffman Stadium, home of the Royals. Doors open 4 hours before kickoff with a live DJ promoting interactive competitions and giveaways, tailgate games like cornhole, flip cup, and beer pong, access to ballpark concessions, and available air conditioning. Book your tickets today at blurevents.com/Kansas City and hang with 93.7 The Ticket on the scene prior to Nebraska versus Cincinnati on August 28th. Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in August. Try their brand new s'mores cold brew with graham cracker cold foam. Also try a s'mores croissant and add cake batter cream cheese to any bagel. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here, Ticket Weekends. Beautiful day here in Lincoln. Crazy weather this morning, but we're back. Sun is out, sun's shining, a little cloudy, but we're all good here.
I don't know if you can call it a beautiful day after the start.
No, it's a beautifuler.
Nice now.
Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah, I'm trying to appreciate the little things that we still don't have that crazy wind and thunder right now. So
that is true. That is true. Shout out to everybody who's probably enjoying some early landscaping this morning.
Exactly. Preseason football, got a few games today that we're excited to talk about. Starting in about 10 minutes, Giants versus the Bills. I'm excited to see Jackson Dart and what the Giants' plan is for him. What are your thoughts on Jackson Dart today and for the future with the New York Giants?
I'm still a little shaky on him. I Ole Miss, I'm wondering if it's a little more Lane Kiffin than Jackson Dart. So I know Ole Miss hasn't always lived up to the expectations, but they're pretty solid. And offensively, it feels like it always comes down to just a couple disastrous plays every game where it wasn't so much the coaching scheme or maybe not even the wrong play, just a really bad turnover or a bad read. Jackson Dart, I think he would be good. I wouldn't have tried to draft him that early if I was the Giants. I don't know if I would take Jackson Dart at all if I was the Giants. I'd be really flipping a coin between Shedeur Sanders. And I know like there's not a lot of people that like Shedeur Sanders, but it is hard to deny, like the talent wise, you do watch him and he does have those unique abilities to where you can kind of see that upside. Jackson Dart, I'm just hoping to see from him some consistency, and then how many reads can you go through before you decide to throw it away or try to run up the middle. Also, I know John Gruden will be looking for this. Are you clapping for every snap?
Yeah.
Are you getting changing up? Are you actually, calling out what you're seeing with your keyword or whatever your descriptors are and being a much more vocal leader pre-snap wise? Because it's a lot. It was a lot of pointing and clapping, which is kind of fine, but you're not really hiding anything from the defense. So just kind of the maturing of him. Like, are you starting to look a little bit more pro? And it's not so much the clapping, as more as like, how quick are you getting through your reads? Are you going 1, 2, 3, 4? Are you getting like 1, 2, and then just tossing it out or running up the middle? Like, what's your patience look like?
Yeah, I think with Jackson Dart, here's the thing I like about him is that he can do he can make some crazy plays. He's got a cannon. He can run a little bit. He almost is like a very,
unpolished Allen.
Yes, Josh Allen. I think that's a great way to put it, just because you saw him at Ole Miss where he would make some crazy plays. He beat Georgia. But then there were a few other games where it was almost like one bad decision after another, and it just snowballed. And in the NFL, that can't happen. You can't be giving away turnovers. You can't be giving away drives, putting your defense in bad positions, because offenses are going to score. So I think from him, I want to see just a little bit of consistency. And just, what do those bad decisions look like? I hope there's few of them, and I hope he's not making too many of them. Or when one does happen, it stops right there.
Yeah, just don't. That's a good way to put it. Like, you just don't want to see him spiral like you would see at Ole Miss at times, where it would kind of get into his head, or at least it looked like it, as he would, again, you beat elite teams, and then you would at times really struggle what would supposed to be a quote unquote chalk win. All right, we got maybe a couple minutes left here. One more game.
Yeah, one more game. Right after that one at 3:00, we have Texans Vikings. Your thoughts on JJ McCarthy? It seems like this is his team now. They're just handing the reins over. We're hopefully going to see a little bit of him today. What do you want to see out of JJ McCarthy today, and just the Vikings in general?
Selfishly, I really want to see him struggle.
Okay.
Like
as a Bears fan,
NFC North, you probably do as well. Being a Packers fan over there, like he worries me. And I say that because he generally worries me. I think he is got an opportunity to be absolutely electric. I think he was harshly criticized in his draft for not a lot of good reasons. We've talked about this before, but it's like, well, he doesn't do this. He doesn't do this. He was never asked to, and he didn't need to. They were winning. They were running the ball. That was their success through really that Michigan run. And why they're so successful is he was being the ultimate game manager. But in the preseason that we saw last year, he can zip the ball when he needs to. And he does have those throws that we didn't always see at Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's spot on. Why would Michigan need J.J. McCarthy to make all these extraordinary throws and passes when you have a great offensive line, great running game. I'm excited to see how he does lead an NFL offense. So, we saw a little bit of preseason last year before the injury, but I'm really excited to see him play today. I appreciate everyone checking into the ticket weekend. It was nice for Harrison and I to fill in. And after this, we got the Law of Lift with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. So don't go anywhere.
Empire Netting and Fence delivers top quality netting and fence solutions. From major sports